What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hobby Hotline Overtime, the new Tuesday night show coming from Hobby Hotline. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me tonight, we've got Mr. Mike Moynihan joining us.
Yo, and hello.
And Chris Harris. What's going on, man?
Sup. It's my first appearance on the weeknight show, so
on the new show.
let's
Nice.
make it a good one.
Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you, Chris, after one, I've already done one. You'll never want to do another episode of Hobby Hotline. You'll only want to do the Tuesday show. So we rock it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I've done in my number of weekend shows. So.
There you go. Well, as always, guys, please call in and join the show. We'd love to have you call in with anything you guys would like to talk about. There's always so much going on in the hobby. I don't think we can ever always cover it, even with two shows, but we'll do our best. And guys, I guess we'll kick it off today. We were talking a little bit before the show, the National. It feels like it just ended, and it still feels like you can find new content from the last National, but the tickets just went on sale for next year's National in Atlantic City. And Chris, you had brought up that it's what they had their highest.
Yeah, the National ever posted on their Facebook page. Today was the first day that tickets went on sale for 2022. And this was the best single day of ticket sales in the history of the National. That's over 40 years. So yeah. More tickets were sold than, they set a record. And for everyone saying, oh, well, I'm not going to Atlantic City. Why do they got to have an Atlantic City? People are going to go to Atlantic City. So I think that should
well, I think they're going to go.
Fears.
I think they're going to go anywhere they put the National right now. Yeah. I mean, it's right now. I mean, I know I'm traveling to states that I wasn't traveling to before to go to shows, and so everybody is. I mean, so that's not that much out of everyone's way. I mean, I see card shows that are doing literal tours like a band would do now. Like they have a tour schedule and they're going across the East Coast. So, I mean, it's interesting to me to see them put it in Atlantic City. I'm excited. I think it's cool. As Logan points out, that National hotel reservations are live as well. If you get a ticket, guys, please remember to get your hotel. You don't want to be stuck without one of those. But Mike, what do you think about it being up in Atlantic City this year? New venue, everything.
Yeah, I've never been to AC. The last one they had there was what?
16.
16. Yeah. So I haven't been to one there, although I'm interested to see it. I think it's a weird combination of no direct flights into the city where it's being held. You got to fly to Philly or New York City and drive. Or you also have the combination of gambling / cards, right? And, people, I know I'm going to bring money to gamble with that's also card money. And if I win gambling, I'll buy more cards.
Right.
If I lose in gambling, I'll buy less cards. So it'll be, I just think it's an interesting dynamic that is hard to judge and hard to know how much it takes away and or adds to the experience for people. I've always wondered why they didn't have the National in Vegas.
Yeah.
But I've been to many conferences in Vegas, and I don't do a whole lot of conferencing. I do a whole lot of sitting at a poker table. And so I think that distraction it's not as big in Atlantic City because you don't have all the shows and all the other activities you can be doing. So I'm excited to go and see it. I booked a Airbnb with, I got 6 guys who are all staying together in a house. And I did that the week after the Chicago show this year. So I've had my, accommodation set up for months now. And I love the National. I mean, it's a great time. If people have never been, you have to go. It's not even a maybe should I possibly. It's a happy experience.
the gambling dynamic is really interesting because you know, the two definitely go hand in hand, and like you said, there's a massive crossover between the two, and a lot of people would consider a lot of prospecting and things like that might as well be gambling anyway. So I think that dynamic and distraction will be kind of interesting. But do you see what I took away from seeing like highest day one sales ever was that a lot of people that probably attended their first national last year had a good enough time that they wanted to come back, which I think is awesome.
Well, do you think it's that? How much do you think plays into, and this is a question for either one of you or the audience for that matter, how much of it plays into just how much more social media savvy the hobby has become over the last few years, such that the announcement of, I got an email, you know, and I'm sure it was on Twitter and Instagram and all these different places where the social media presence for the national. I mean, once you go to a national or you know about the hobby, you're going to follow those, you know, those things. And so you're going to get notified quicker and you're like, well, I'm going to go, I might as well go buy my tickets. So my question is it a statement about the popularity of the hobby or just a statement about how in tune people are to social and, you know, they're just getting their tickets early? The question will be, will they sell more tickets overall?
Right.
Or is it just,
well, the Atlantic City Convention Center is a very, very large center. It's, I think it's actually bigger than the Stevens Center in Rosemont. So getting people in that building should not be much of a problem. I think when we talk about how this was the biggest one-day sale of national tickets ever, I think a lot of people that went to the that have gone to the national for years. I've been to like, I think last year was my 14th national.
Right.
We get them anyway. The first day we're there. But for a lot of folks that maybe they just went to their first national this year, they liked what they saw and they can't wait to come back. And they too were waiting for it. So
yeah, and I think also, you know, people that wanted to go realized, I think a lot of people that were probably first time goers also figured out that it's a lot easier if you plan this way ahead than trying to schedule it last minute. And so I think a lot of people just, like you said, you're getting notified about it. I know I saw a lot more announcements about tickets going on sale than I ever had before. That was never a big deal. That is never something that I was really knowledgeable about or felt I even really needed to be. But after last year, after them pretty much making more tickets to get people into that center, I mean, that's what they did. But I mean, it's quite interesting. But gang card collector, if you hit 40K at the casino, Mike, you're gonna buy a 52 Topps Mantle? Good question.
Bet your butt I will.
Can you even get a 52 Mantle these days?
That's the only way I'd get
maybe a PSA 1.
Right. No, see, that's going to be some fun stuff. Get some high rollers into a casino, and then you might see some record sales the next towards the Saturdays and the Sundays of the national.
Well, a similarity not in scope, but the industry summit is held. Yeah. It was held in Vegas, right? And I went to that. There was a card show the first couple of days, and I was there for that. And I would go to the blackjack table. I'd win $1,000 and I'd go and I bought a card that I wouldn't have bought otherwise. You know, there's an absolute reality to a concept I call found money. And if it's, you know, let's say you buy a card, you can use it in cards. You buy a card for $20, you sell it for $500 because the player did well or whatever. You're going to go buy something. That's money that's very easy to spend.
$180 in found money.
Very easy to spend, and we spend it typically on things we wouldn't normally buy with earned money. Earned money is a lot harder to let go of from your hand because we know that that's part of a budget or part of your lifestyle. Right. Found money is like bonus. Yay, let's go get the card I always wanted that I could never afford. And that's that found money concept. And Vegas, or not Vegas, but any AC could provide that opportunity for some people if they do well. We all know they have big buildings for a reason. The house has always got the advantage, but hopefully some card collectors do well and can go get some of those Grail cards they've never been able to get.
Absolutely. Well, Logan points out that the AC Convention Center, 500,000 square feet, and Donald Stevens is 840,000 square feet, but they don't use, for Donald Stevens, they don't use, is that including like entirety of multiple floors that aren't
some
used?
of the other rooms that are used for the VIP areas.
Right.
The AC Convention Center is just one big room, column free. There's no like compartments like they have at the Stevens Center where they have like the main floor, and then there's that tiny little ramp that goes up to where the stage is and the group breakers. It's all one big room. So
when I talked to Ray Schulte, who is the director of communications for the National, they use 400 to 450,000 square feet, and that's for everything, including the autograph pavilion and the backstage for TriStar and all the that's about what they're using. So they'll use,
which is why they never went back to Baltimore, by the way.
Yeah, they ran out of room,
even though everybody loved it.
Yep.
So how do you guys think? I mean, do you think this is gonna? Hey, what's going on, Brad? So do you guys think that? I think this one's gonna be a huge national. I think there's gonna be a massive ramp up heading into it. Looking at the release date calendar that was put out, you're going to be getting a lot of really new products out right around that time that you normally wouldn't. It's going to be interesting. I think it's
I know awesome. People complain that it's hard to get to Atlantic City. Look, you could fly into Philly and take the train, and it takes you right there. So, a little pro tip from a South Jersey local: you can take the train to Atlantic City. People will find a way to get there.
Oh yeah,
it's not necessarily a fly-in national; it's a drive-in national. I think something close to like 3/5 of the American population lives within, I think, a day's drive of Atlantic City. And that doesn't include like Quebec and Ontario as well. So you have a large area to draw from. And yes, you can fly there and then take the train and get there that way.
Well, I'll be flying. I'm flying to Philly. And then I've got a buddy that's picking me up in Philly, and we're going to drive there the rest of the way. So no big deal. I'm not worried about it.
No big deal.
Yeah, it's all like I said. And
earlier. And look, it's a casino town, so there's going to be plenty of cheap hotel rooms as well. So that is no problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not going to be. And like you said, people are going to find a way to get there. People are going out of their way to find a way to get any place they want to go when it comes to cars these days. So they're definitely going to be going to the National. I think it's probably going to be one of the biggest ones ever. I'm excited to go to AC. I think it's a good place for it. But what do you think it opens up the possibility of them ever moving it out west? Do you think them kind of shifting away from the keeping it? Because it's kind of seemed for a while, pretty much since Atlantic City, that they tried to keep it right in the Midwest, like right in the middle of the state. And now they're throwing it all the way over in Jersey. Do you think it opens up for them to go west?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to. Where are they going to put it?
Yeah.
I mean, they've already said that they're never going to go back to Anaheim. Las Vegas is too expensive.
You could theoretically you could do Denver.
Yeah.
You'd never do Seattle.
No.
You'd never do, but I mean, you could do Dallas, Fort Worth. You could do Atlanta.
Yes.
You could do, I mean, there are some big cities more centrally located that could host the National very easily.
But here's the thing too, is that if you take a look at where the National has gone over the last 10 years, it's only gone between 4 convention centers.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Atlantic City, the Stevens Center in Rosemont, and the IX Center in Cleveland. All four of those have one thing in common. They are not the primary convention center in that market. In Chicago, you have the McCormick Place, which is the largest convention center in America. Cleveland has another convention center downtown. For Baltimore, you're 40 miles away from Washington, which has a larger convention center. In Atlantic City, you have Philadelphia and New York. The kind of convention centers that the National goes to are the kind of conventions that attract people who are paying out of their own pocket to be there. They're not attracting like the American Medical Association or a lawyers convention where everyone's on there on an expense account.
Right.
Those are the kind of conventions that big cities want. They want people that are there to spend a bunch of money on 5-star hotels and spend a bunch of money on steak dinners and not spend a bunch of money on baseball cards. So it's really two different kinds of markets when it comes to convention centers. Consumer shows and professional shows and trade shows. They're not going to go to the National is not going to go to one of those trade show places. They're going to go to these secondary convention centers that attract things like the car show, the boat show, the wedding show, Comic-Cons, and baseball card shows. Yeah. So when I hear people say, why don't they come to my city? My city has this great convention center. That's why. Right. It's too expensive, and quite often they can't get the dates for it either. There's a million other variables when it comes to this, to selecting a national site. And that's why it keeps going to the same places.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We've got a question in the comments. We'll kind of come back to the national here in just a minute. But Rich Frank asked earlier, saying, so now that a lockout is imminent, are you guys still picking up prospects? I believe MILB is still going to play. So, prospecting anybody?
No, but I do. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think Major League Baseball has enough chits to be able to get through with a lockout without severely alienating a significant portion of their fan base. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of people that go, all right, I'm through with this. I'm not one of them. I'm wearing my Rangers hat because we are now, we spent more money this offseason than any team in Major League history.
Yeah.
Free agents. We've $500 million plus and counting because we may get Kershaw. We're going after Kershaw. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how people react to the lockout. And it's not going to be good. I can't imagine it being great. And I remember 94 that Rich is bringing up. I remember that, and it was very bitter. There was a lot of bitterness in the fan base. And
that first one, I was only 10 years old, and I still remember it. Like, I was a huge sports fan, even as a little kid growing up, from since I could open my eyes, apparently. But I mean, I can remember 1994 all over again, and I think it would be massively damaging to the baseball hobby as a whole. Do you think that the lockout happens? I haven't really seen anything say it is 100% imminent. I think that they'll probably end up playing, but I mean,
we're only about a day and a half away from the CBA expiring.
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah,
it expires tonight at midnight. So
tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lockout in about 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends on how long this goes.
Right.
It doesn't eat into the regular season. Yeah. I think if there's a lockout that ends like in February, I don't think people will care.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came close in 2002.
Yeah.
But I don't think they locked out the players in 2002.
No, they got it done at the last second.
Yeah. You know, the last time there was a lockout as opposed to a strike, I think was 1990.
Yeah.
And I think they settled it like 2 weeks into spring training.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any cancellation of games.
As much as they're gonna fight about money and you're gonna hear about all this stuff, I don't think any players association is dumb enough nowadays to let it eat into a season. There's too much. I mean, there's just too much to be made the way things are, the way things can be, where you can find an agreement, at least come to something, which both sides are fair. That I don't see it eating into the season, but if it does, and I don't know, let's say minor league baseball. I mean, does that happen? Do you think that still happens? What happens with all of that?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm a pretty big baseball follower, and I can't even tell you what they're disagreeing about. I've read a lot of things, and I'm still going. Still sounds like a bunch of millionaires and billionaires bickering over scraps. I don't. Maybe there's some, linchpin issue that I'm just not understanding, or they're not making.
Some of the issues are service time manipulation. That is waiting until like a month after the season in order to bring your hot rookie up so that he doesn't accumulate an extra year of service time going into arbitration. Another one is tanking. There's been talk about implementing a draft lottery to hopefully prevent the kind of tanking that we've seen with the Astros and the Cubs and some other teams over the last 10 years. Another issue that I've read about is postseason expansion, adding another wild card team, although I think the one game wild card is kind of silly enough, but there's already too many playoff teams in my opinion. But other than that, I don't know what else they're fighting about.
And all of those seem like issues that should be resolvable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing there sounds like, man, we can't get through this.
I mean, the owners don't want to impose a salary cap. That was the big issue of 94.
Yeah.
And there's not that one big issue, it seems, that the owners are willing to shut down the league over, like they did in 94.
I mean, the players certainly don't want a salary cap. So
exactly.
I don't know if it has to do, baseball has guaranteed contracts, which is unique.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, again, if somebody else knows, let us, that makes sense what you just said, Chris, about what I have heard those things being discussed as, negotiating issues. But again, none of that seems like, really, we're going to stop over that?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not the kind of big issues that are willing to shut the league down like the NHL did 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, so I kind of look at this as just them taking it kind of like what you guys just said, them taking this just as, well, whatever. I think we can come to an agreement. I think we're going to work it out. Let's not rush it. I just don't think they're rushing anything. And I think
they have plenty of time. It's the off season.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
We're not pitchers and catchers don't report for another 3 months?
Yeah. 2.5 months.
2.5, 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just all hope and pray that they come to their senses and figure something out. Because all we want them to do is play ball.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ball. Exactly. We want to keep everything rolling. The last thing you need something to stall everything. Like I was telling Chris before the show, Panini put out their release date calendar. a couple of days ago, an updated release date calendar, and taking a look at it, it is quite interesting. It's weird. Normally this time of year is football prism, basketball prism, lots of big stuff coming into play. This year, not so much. You really don't have a massive amount of, you're not going to have, when it comes to basketball, looking at their release date calendar, you're not going to have rookies of any of the top rookies for this year's class until at least February or March, because January 26th is Collegiate Prism, which is their first release for those rookies. So these rookies are going to play almost an entire season before they even get a rookie card in college uniforms, let alone a pro uni. Kind of brings up like an interesting point in basketball, especially, I think, where, you look at any sport, you're going to get to see a rookie that there's no prospecting this year because there's not even a market to be established with these guys. A lot of releases getting pushed back. Hoops Premium Edition not on the list. Looks like it might be scrapped. But it looks like, I'm going to assume this is COVID.
Drew.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have a list of that release calendar?
Yeah, let me pull it
you
up.
You can share with everybody?
Yeah, saw it on Twitter yesterday. Let me grab it for just a second.
Another topic for discussion. I'm curious. I'm not a wax guy. I'm a Hall of Fame baseball guy. So I couldn't be further from, caring about what wax is coming out. But I will ask the question. I wonder how Black Friday was last week for retailers out there, the big, Blowout and Atlanta Sports Cards and all the different places. I wonder if I didn't look at deals or see what was, being slashed in prices. Do y'all know, was it a good Black Friday for the hobby?
Yeah, I thought so. Anybody that's watching the show, please let us know if you got any awesome Black Friday deals or anything like that I missed out on. But yeah, I not much on Black Friday, more Cyber Monday, but I had a wonderful Cyber Monday. There were some great sales from some awesome companies, from Show Your Slabs all the way to Dave and Adams. New startups to massive companies. I found a ton of great deals, but stayed away from a lot of the new releases. When I see Mosaic Basketball is dropping, that's 2 times the price of Optic Basketball from last year. I'm like, okay, still a little crazy on the wax end for my taste. So, stay away from all of that. But it seems like the COVID shutdowns and everything, where everybody kind of had to push the release dates back, it seems it's kind of really doing that for basketball. They're almost about to lap themselves. Baseball, I had the Panini calendar, but cannot seem to find the tweet that I saw it on yesterday. Baseball seems about normal, but football, there's no Prism, which was a massive driving force. There's no Contenders, which was normally out or out now. It makes things feel a little bare, as opposed to the early Christmas present for a lot of collectors, and for new collectors especially. The Prism, the Prism flash of football and basketball back to back. It was always a really big 1-2 punch early December that, you're not getting these days.
Yeah, I did go to Walmart this past weekend, and there was wax galore on the show. You could buy whatever you wanted. There were, dozens of boxes of Chronicles, basketball. You could buy all the Topps Update baseball you wanted. You could buy, there was all kinds of stuff. So I think what I think it is all the retail prices are more expensive, and you can't go buy a box for $20, sell it for $40 anymore. You go buy it for $35, sell it for $35. That's not a good business proposition. So I think a lot of people have gotten out of the wax flipping game just because the margins have disappeared.
Yeah.
And they're printing the piss out of it. So you got that too, right? So
that's what makes it interesting. They're printing so much, yet they're still getting so far behind. Are they going to end up cutting a bunch of products to catch up, or is this is this going to be the new norm? You know, it like,
I
are we
mean,
doubling
how
down?
many different basketball and football products does Panini make?
There's about, I think last time I
Got to
counted,
be like almost 40 in
Yeah.
basketball.
it's
Like,
gotta
do we
be.
really need like Recon basketball or XR or some
Mhm.
of these other brands?
Well, I know Recon that you just mentioned is one of the releases that's coming in early December. It's supposed to have a retail release as well. But yeah, there's tons of wax at Walmart now that they've jacked the prices. I guess they're testing consumer thresholds when it
Yeah.
comes to pricing, seeing where people will be at. I think you'll see a lot of those prices slashed eventually because the stuff will not move at those prices. But it's just weird to see when a basketball season. I always just keep coming back to it. They're not going to have a rookie market. Like, there's no rookie market this year. You're still putting out products with last year's rookie class all the way up through January. It's just weird time in the hobby.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's see. There are reports of there are reports of 21-22 Upper Deck Series 1 hockey is delayed again. See, here we go. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. It's not. I think it's a lot more than just a Panini problem. I had not heard that Upper Deck was going to be pushed back. That stinks if true, because
it was supposed to. It usually comes out the week of the Toronto Expo.
Yep.
And that's just one big Series 1 party.
Right.
Not this year. So.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see what happens with all that going forward. Because, I mean, I don't know how you catch up. I don't know how you – but, I mean, you completely ruin – I mean, you don't have – if you let that bleed into other sports without catching up at some time, you completely ruin – chasing a rookie market. You kind of destroy prospecting altogether because, I mean, you're not getting any cards. There's no market right now. The basketball market is literally Chronicles draft picks. There you go.
And nobody really wants the draft pick cards in their college uniforms.
Exactly. And so everyone's just holding out.
That's why they're collecting dust at a Walmart near you.
Yep.
But you gotta, I mean, I go to Walmart maybe once a week and I still see the same stack of Chronicles draft pick basketball. It's a little bit smaller than it was last time, but still there.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get the awesome opportunity to have things like we used to have called clearance racks when they would have,
Yeah.
I remember cards sitting in the clearance. Clearance.
Those used to be the most exciting ones to go into. It'd be like, all right, throw out some old Prism, throw out something old. I mean, love the clearance rack. I think you'll see the return of that clearance. Those little yellow and black boxes. I'm pretty sure you'll see a return of those.
Well, it's pretty funny. It'll go from the Chronicles blaster will go from $34.98 to $32.98 or something. Like you're like, oh. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, jeez.
Who controls that? Is it Panini or the distributor?
Right?
That's I mean, I don't know the entire distribution method from front to back. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on it, but I do know that I mean, Anderson and MJ Holdings, which is owned by Anderson, who does Walmart. I mean, and keep forgetting the other company's name off the top of my head that does Target. But they pretty much can set the prices of what they want. And I mean, in Walmart, I mean, they rent the space from Walmart to put it there, just like they rent it from anywhere else. So, I mean, I'm assuming that they're the ones that are marking everything up. But I mean, look at Panini. I mean, Panini, if you look at a lot of times right now, Panini, I think, is testing it even more than the distributors are. They're putting stuff out that's $40, $60 above eBay comps, knowing it's that expensive and just knowing that bots are going to snipe it right up. And they do. Yeah. And they do. And it's like everyone's like, yes, finally got something from Panini. Okay, well, you could have got it on eBay for cheaper.
You paid twice as much for it.
We can count the days because it's all coming to an end in a couple of years when everything will be online, and there will be no retail in stores once Fanatics takes over the world. So
unless it's at Fanatics.
if you're at a Fanatics store, sure.
Yeah. So the card aisle will be
Pokemon
trading cards, a Fanatics experience.
Right.
At your local Target and Walmart.
It'll be interesting.
That's I'm curious to see what happens even in just a couple of years, because that obviously in 5 years they get the licenses, but what is it? I think it's only 2 more years before they can start printing cards. Because they've got some availability there soon, so that is going to be interesting. But
5 years is a long time in the hobby.
Yes, as Rich Frank says, hopefully Fanatics rents Top's name. That would be nice, but Top seems to be perfectly content chasing after these secondary licenses. They look to be content doing non-logoed stuff, starting with the Trevor Lawrence set, then saying they're bringing basketball back and showing Dirk autos, getting the Japanese Nippon League license. I think you're going to start to see a lot of the European basketball leagues start to get grabbed up pretty soon as well. Top seems to be okay with just kind of chasing those and taking their F1 and their soccer.
It's about all that's left.
Yeah, that seems to be what they're content with chasing. That's just what they're going with.
Yeah, and I think as 2025 grows closer, I think you're going to see a lot more Topps products that are kind of like single player focused, like the Mickey Mantle online set that they did, the Trevor Lawrence product. Products that don't have to be licensed, and products that, because they only have 1 or 2 players in it, don't have to get a players association license either. So,
well, hey, Panini built an entire hockey license around 2 prospects.
Wow, how did that work out?
Probably not the best example, but I'd love to see Topps do hockey again as well.
Well, Topps is doing hockey. They're making those stickers.
I was about to say.
Kind of like, they're really oversized trading cards. I think they're like 3 by 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So they're a little bit bigger than a standard sized card, but it's a sticker, so they can do an end run around.
I still want to know what happened with the Hull autographs that I saw. There was a picture of Brett Hull signing a Topps. I don't know if it was an oversized sticker or what it was, but there was a photo of him signing some kind of Topps card or something. And
wasn't he supposed to be an Allen and Ginter's?
I think that's probably what it was for, but then the cards never appeared. We saw a picture of him signing them, but they never showed up. And it's been years.
Well, it could be, honestly, I don't think people realize how far in advance they do these things.
Yes.
I bought, it could be 22 Ginter. Honestly, I have cards that I got this year from, what product was it? Totally. 5-star, Topps 5-star with Lou Brock autographs. He died in January. Or wait, no, he died in September of last year. I'm sorry. September of last year, Lou Brock died, and in 2021, Topps 5-star. So there's a big lead time into this, which might also contribute to the lack of new products and things having to get pushed back. They have to do it so far in advance.
Yes,
designing the cards and putting the orders in to get them printed, and there's a bottleneck at the printing because all the cards are printed in the Dallas Fort, one band,
in like a 2-block area, in basically like a 1-mile radius.
Yeah, every card is printed in Grand Prairie, Texas, and I don't think people realize there's just this bottleneck and the lead time that it takes and all these things. And I wish the companies were more transparent about that. That would be super helpful, but they're just not. So
yeah, no, they're not whatsoever. Jason Kaiser asks, wouldn't Topps Chrome be a big enough deal in all three sports to justify Fanatics buying Topps? Forget Panini.
Well, why don't they just make their own Chrome stock cards like Panini did with Prism?
Yep.
They'll make Fanatics Metal or Fanatics Chromium or Fanatics Super Shiny or whatever. They don't need that. They don't need to buy Topps as a intellectual property when you can just make your own metal stock cards.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing. And at the beginning, when I first heard about the announcement and everything, I did think, okay, I think they probably buy one of the names or something like that. But now I'm not so sure, and that's just by going by what I'm seeing these companies doing right now.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me as these licenses begin to expire in 2025-ish.
Mm-hmm.
If Topps does around 2024-ish, if Topps goes to Fanatics and says, hey, you want to make an offer for us?
Yeah.
You can have all of our intellectual property. People will still be able to make Topps baseball.
Yeah.
But
Topps has all the leverage right now.
Yeah, right now. Do. But as time goes on, as that license begins to run out, I mean, after 2025, what good is all that IP when you don't have a license anymore?
Well, I'll tell you where it could be good is if you're Topps. If I was running Topps, let's see how Fanatics does. Let's give them a year or two, and when their sales are in the toilet, and I don't know that they will or won't, if they don't do a great job selling product and the name and brand. We know it matters. It absolutely matters. How much is uncertain. We're going to find out.
Yep.
The more Fanatics struggles, I mean, they paid a whole lot of money for this stuff. They're going to need to recoup a lot of that investment for their investors. And so the longer that goes on, the longer they struggle, the more the Topps brand becomes, the value just goes up and up, right? So if I'm Topps, I'm going to hold out, Chris. I'm not going to wait.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to hold out until right before my license expires. Now,
or even
if I understand it correctly, Panini's baseball license with the MLBPA expires at the end of 2022.
That's correct.
And in 2023, that's when we're going to see our first Fanatics baseball cards.
Yes.
Just not fully licensed. They're going to be kind of like what we see with Panini now.
Yeah. It'll be
partially licensed.
Yeah, it'll be pajama.
So if those products don't sell well in 2023 and 2024, then this scenario that you, Michael, might come to fruition. They may come to Topps and say and beg them to get that intellectual property, the Topps name back.
Yep. Now, see, that's going to be interesting, that 2-year window from 2023 to 2025. I think that's going to be, because it's hard to sell people on unlicensed stuff, as you just call it, a pajama party. I mean, it's very difficult, easier in some sports than others, I think. I don't mind them personally, but the hobby as a whole seems to have a massive pushback against it. So it'll be interesting to see.
And some of Panini's baseball sets are pretty decent too.
Oh yeah,
I'll give them credit for that. It's just that it's the stigma of them not having the full license is what's keeping their values depressed and what keeping their interest depressed among collectors.
I mean, I've seen some really cool Panini insert card. I mean, design's not the issue, right? It's all about the logos, And I don't agree with that. I'm with Drew. I have no problem owning Panini Mike Trout cards or whoever, you know. In fact, it's great that I can get them cheaper than Topps.
Yeah.
A corresponding Topps card, right? That's great. That's a poor man's alternative in my case to be able to pick up some cards. So Fanatics is going to have to figure out, and this is going to be the challenge for Josh Luber, is making design that is catching and people love him, and having like once you can marry those, I think they're gonna have 2 years to figure out design elements, right? They've never made cards before, so they've got to figure that out, and they'll have 2 years to test the waters on what works, what doesn't. And I think they're going to want to make their own stamp in the card market. I mean, they don't want to just be same old, same old. They want to go, we're Fanatics. Look at how cool our designs are over everything else you've ever had in your life. And time will tell if that is a good decision or a bad decision.
And they won't have to fall back on the crutch of endlessly recycling the same designs over and over and over and over again, like a certain company does. Topps. They'll have to actually come up with something new and different instead of reprints and buybacks and reprints and buybacks and recycling the same old designs over and over.
Well, they're running out of animals to name parallels out of. And I mean, for God's sakes, we literally got toilet paper on cards this year. So if you go to Donruss Baseball. So, you know, it is what it is. But I agree with Suze up in the comments that there's a good segment of people that don't care about licenses. I really think there is definitely enough to make them viable. I think you see that all the time with Brian Gray Leaf. You see that with, Panini wouldn't keep up doing the baseball, wouldn't keep up doing everything if it wasn't working, and Topps wouldn't be jumping into basketball unlicensed if they didn't think there was a market for it. So,
Drew, you just brought up an interesting point. I mean, look what Brian Gray's done with no licenses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could say Topps has at least a brand. If they can figure out ways to get some of these, Leaf does Trinity, and they get these kind of second tier prospect kind of guys, and they sign them to exclusive deals and individual deals. Why can't Topps use that business model as a way to continue to make quote unquote baseball cards?
That's pretty much what Bowman Draft could be in 2026.
Yeah.
Right.
Bowman Draft is not an MLBPA licensed product.
Right.
I don't know if people know that or not.
Yeah.
It's just prospects.
Yeah.
Right.
You can keep making prospects just without the logos beginning in 2020.
Well, yeah, it'll look like right before the football license ended, all the Bowman football, even though they had the NFL license and could have put the logos on if they wanted. They designed them without logos. And they literally had the license, but they put it out under the Bowman name without them. Chad Shipper asked, do you think most will jump in head first with Fanatics, or will it take a bit with some sitting back to see what the product is like first? Personally, Chad, I think it's the hobby and people will chase anything. So I don't see it being a problem.
I'm a door number 2 guy. I think there will be a lot of, let's just see. Let's see what this stuff looks like. Let's see what prices are. Let's see, are they going to make prices even more crazy than they are currently? They see the market. It's not like they're unaware of what's happening.
They also just do. They literally throw Fanatics exclusive on something and just color the wave parallel something different. And they've got a massive product that Snap sells out now.
Right.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how these products are structured as well. Can you collect it? Can you collect the base set? Are the inserts fun to collect?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get value for your money?
Yeah.
Do you think so? In the bowels of Fanatics right now, is Josh Luber plugging in to the quote unquote average collector? Do you think they even care what we think? Do they have a panel of guys sitting around like Hobby Hotline and talking about.
I wish there were. I mean, I read that white paper that he published a couple of weeks ago, and I really wasn't encouraged.
Well, I know. I wish the news had been made public a little earlier than it was, because I got a chance to talk with Josh and a couple other people at the AC show, and saw him there, talked to him for a little bit, and the Philly show. Saw him, talked to him for a little bit. He's very in tune with the hobby and collecting. Like, I mean, he is absolutely thinking about all this stuff. But exactly how they're doing it at Fanatics, I don't know. Now, Josh personally, I know, is very in tune with the hobby, but that's one person, and I think that a lot of stuff is being put on his name when it's going to be a massive team of people that's got to put this together for it to work.
Yeah, and the Luber Manifesto was written pre-Fanatics.
Yeah,
I mean, that was more state of the hobby than what things.
Yeah, I'm talking about that paper that he wrote. Cards are fun again.
Yeah, cards are cool again.
That again.
Cards are cool again, and I call it the Luber Manifesto.
Yeah.
It's it's an interesting read. He's got some interesting opinions.
Mm-hmm. I think it's. I mean, he does have some interesting takes about how the number of parallels in products has become almost to the point of self-parody now. Mm-hmm. A few other things too. So I know we only have 7.5 more minutes in this. I can go on for 7.5 hours on that paper, but
the parallels argument is pretty funny, because I'm finishing up a Prism Rainbow right now, and I've come to almost the end of it, and it's literally, I mean, I have one completed. I wanted to put it next to on my wall. And one of them fits nice in a frame. It's like 8 or 9 cards from like 4 or 5 years ago. But I don't have a frame that fits like 35 base cards. And so, and 35 parallels. Like, I need a book for this rainbow. And so, can't even display them anymore.
Who are you doing your rainbow?
Go ahead, Mike.
Blake Prohl from East Carolina. Ricky Prohl's son.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
What's up, Chris?
I said Ricky Prohl has a son. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah, I know, right? Almost made it to the NFL. Almost, but Suze, I think, has a good time. A good point that, and this is who I was talking about before, is that the newer and younger collectors that aren't, as she says, married to these companies, and probably don't have that much of a relationship with Topps. They don't remember it from their childhood, or they're in their childhood, whatever it may be. I don't think they're going to hesitate one bit. I think they're going to want to keep and there's also going to be a massive segment of the hobby that's going to want to keep the hobby moving, period, for business reasons, whatever it may be outside of collecting. And so I think there is going to be a big section of people. It's a wait and see, but I think they're going to have no problems right out of the gate.
But here's the thing with Suze's comment. Are a lot of the newer and younger collectors that are getting in now going to still be in the hobby when Fanatics eventually releases their first products 4 years from now?
How about this? How about we stop calling them collectors and start calling them?
They're okay. My bad.
No, I'm serious. Let's differentiate
these buyers of cards.
We'll call them participants in the hobby.
Participants. That's a good word.
They are participating in the hobby.
Yes.
I don't know that they are collectors.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
No.
Two very different things. Not good or bad.
They're
not better or worse.
Slumped over a $1 box at a card show, banging out their want lists.
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, Suze. Their first product, I think they'll have that completely ready the second they're allowed to. I don't think they're going to hesitate. they're not known as a company for being quiet. They're not known as a company for being subtle. So, nothing's been quiet or subtle about this. Except for stealing Major League Baseball, but that's just weird all around.
It is important, I think, this could be a topic for an entire hobby hotline, but differentiating between the new brand of participant in the hobby versus a guy like me. I've been doing it 40 years. Chris, how long have you been in the hobby?
About as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew, you're not even 40 years old.
No.
Yeah, you're not even 40. So
close to
it. I take pride in calling myself a collector, and those kids take pride in calling them whatever they call themselves, flippers, whatever. Again, there's nothing wrong. I'm not even criticizing the state of the hobby. It's more of just it's an important differentiation that needs to be made. And man, you could debate it all, and it's all semantics, really, right?
Yes.
People are buying and selling cards. Like at the end of the day, well, that's not true because I don't sell cards. I buy cards. My room only gets more full with stuff, not less. So those participants, I seen them, at the Dallas show and, the national.
They'll have their little
Pelican cases. Yeah. And all you see is cards moving from one Pelican case to another Pelican case. Is that collecting? I don't know. I would argue no, but I could be convinced otherwise as well. But man, that's a whole nother. We only have 3 minutes, so we can't get into that. But
we need a third day of hobby hotline.
I know.
We need to go to like Thursday nights or Fridays.
Well, see, I think that's one of the best things about the hobby right now. Because I can remember when I started looking at that potograph, Stu and I, we used to have to sit back and think about what were we going to talk about this week, because there wasn't daily news breaking and national sales numbers, record-shattering sales every week. It's crazy out there now.
I'll make one last point about that topic of kids in the hobby. I hope as time goes on, those kids turn from participants into collectors, into the traditional view of what a collector is. Yes. That's my hope. And, that I can't say when I was a little kid at 8 years old buying packs of 81 tops that I was a collector. I was an accumulator of cards, but I didn't know what it meant to be a collector. And I didn't have a discerning eye. I just wanted all of them. And that's kind of how these kids are. I just want more I want bigger cards. I want to trade 2 for 5 okay cards for 1 really great card. And they're trading up and they're doing all these things. Over time, I became a collector. Right. And so I don't know. Everybody probably has their own watershed moment when they can say, at this stage of my life, I became a collector. And so that'll be a cool thing. I've been on 2 shows now with Hobby Hotline. Glad to be part of it. We haven't had a single caller or a single person join the show. So maybe maybe Drew.
I'm scaring you guys.
Yeah.
Mike's very friendly. He's very friendly. He doesn't bite.
I'm a nice guy. I don't know. I want to, I love the idea that people can participate with a show like this and throw in their 2 cents. Like, we don't have a monopoly on opinions. I promise you that.
No.
And most of them aren't even good opinions. So at least we'd love people to join in and
absolutely
throw in their 2 cents. So next time I'm on, I get sometime in December, maybe somebody will join in, but
absolutely. Yes, please, guys. Always leave the link in the chat. Always more than welcome to call in. And if you're not able to, we always appreciate all the comments there in the chat. And I think that's a really good spot to end it on is, that definition of collector. I think it is something to be thought about. And it's going to be interesting. I hope a lot of people turn that other leaf, so to speak, or however you want to say it. I think a good amount will. This hobby's fun. This hobby is just.
I mean, if we could only get like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 of these kids to start, building sets again.
Yep.
Chasing after inserts. I mean, the thrill of, digging through a dollar box and finding that one card that you need to kill off that set you've been building for 10, 15, 20 years. It's a feeling that's, there's certain other feelings that are better than that. But this is a family show.
Right.
So,
it's 10.
It's great. And I wish more kids would experience that.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree. All right, well, it is that time. So I guess we will wrap up this episode of Hobby Hotline.
Who do we have on Saturday? Do you know?
Yes, this Saturday we have coming up, as I stall for a second, this Saturday we have Mr. John Newman, Jeff Denson, and Logan will all be on Saturday. As Logan says, collecting is a marathon, not a sprint. I love it, Logan. Yes. Wonderful parting words for the evening. So thanks, Mike and Chris, for joining the show with me.
All right. Always a pleasure.
And we will see you guys on
in the free world.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on Saturday. See you
later.